The night of the crime, the suspects entered this vacant facility, and from this facility is where they then entered the location where the wine is stored, which is in the building just to the north of here.
And how did they do that?
Well, it was very sophisticated, it was well thought out and well planned. Once they gained access to this space, they used this as somewhat of a storage area. They built some materials in here that they actually helped them facilitate the crime. And then from this room here, when they cut some holes in some walls, they used a lot of different kinds of burglary tools and stuff like that, because it's a very secure area. But yet they had some knowledge of it, and with their tools and the time they had spent in here, they were able to gain access eventually.
And how did they get through the wall?
Well, there's lots of ways that they ended up walking through a door, is what they did. After they worked on it for a while and used their burglary tools, they were able to access through the door.
I thought you said there was an 8-inch hole, 8 inch by 8 inch.
Well, that was one of the ways that they did it. They had to cut an 8-inch hole to then be able to access certain things. But I'm not going to talk about the security of the wine facility, which I think is actually quite sophisticated itself.
So they had to be fairly smart to get past the security and to get access to that building.
Yes, it took planning in advance. There's no doubt about it. And it took a lot of time. And they had time at their hands. This was Thanksgiving evening. And they were in here roughly 13 hours total for the whole crime. So they had time in here to do the work that they needed to do with some advanced knowledge.
So what were they using this room for? Was this a conduit? Was it just a passageway? What was the deal?
Initial entrance into this room to gain access into the secure storage area where the wine was stored. And then they used it as kind of a staging area for things. And then eventually the wine being at times being brought through here. There's also another place where it appears they took the wine out of it, another area. But this area was also used to transport possibly some of the wine out of this building.
And can you talk about the pipes, the natural gas in here, and what they allegedly did in order to cover their tracks?
Our investigation is learning further that they actually may have used this space to actually try to hide their crime. So you'll notice here that there's natural gas in this area. This is one of the ways they heat the building. And in one area just over here to my right, they actually punctured the pipe and in essence creating a pilot light. And once they created a little puncture there, they at some point in time they lit that on fire, which caused them anywhere from a 4 to an 8-inch flame came out of there, which can be considered like a pilot light. Farther down behind me here, they then accessed the natural gas pipe and they actually undid a coupler and they created a situation so natural gas was now spilling out, with the idea then that eventually the natural gas from there would hit the flame and there would have been a very large explosion.
But that didn't happen.
That did not happen. We had very alert people at the wine company next door. They did the right thing. They called 911. The fire department arrived. People coming through the door saw the flame right away. Everyone backed up. The gas was turned off. Large smell of gas inside this space, but the fire department and Puget Sound Energy arrived and took care of that, rendered this place safe, called the police department right away, and we conducted a very large investigation that is still ongoing.
Who owns this building and how did they gain access to this one?
Well, this building is, you can find out who owns this building. I believe some people have already talked to you. So this is vacant, and they're currently trying to rent it. And how they gained access in here wasn't as difficult as it was trying to gain access into the wine storage in here.
But they had scoped this place out. I mean, they had planned this all.
It certainly appears from everything in our investigation so far that the suspects had been in this place before the crime actually happened, and they had been in that space over there before the crime had happened. Again, this was thought out. There's evidence and shares that this took a while to not only plan and then also to execute.